This conference will now be recorded.
Let me see if I can screen. Okay. So, what were you supposed to submit, Kayvon, to me today?
You got your totals, your SP multiple, and your direct labor, your raw materials, and the totals for your raw materials, and then SP multiple and your direct labor.
Okay, so what about a picture of what you're making? What are you making?
Oh, shoes. I
You making
asked you this
shoes?
because
Say what
yeah,
now?
it said at the top, like the title, Off White 777.
Oh, okay, so
That was
that's what it is.
yeah,
And
that was the day that we.
you working on this by yourself, and I don't see any of your team members. So you're doing this by yourself. They didn't help. I understand.
No, they did. They
So
did. They did.
nobody on your team will get any points. I understand.
They did. They helped.
Oh, chill, please.
Yeah,
I'm
they
right here.
helped. Yeah, we was in a FaceTime call. They did help.
Name? Robert, do you see your name?
Huh?
Where's your name?
Oh, I don't know. I sent it to him. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
here
this
though.
is yeah, we did this a while. I don't think Robert was in the group when we did this though. This is a while back. I don't think Robert was in the group, but
Oh
Alexa
yeah, I
and
was in the
Candace did
class.
help. Wait, Robert, you was in the call? No, Robert was in the call. Yeah, they was all in the call. Never mind. Yeah, they was. I think you had just assigned them to my team, but yeah, they was all in there. My fault. I
All
didn't put their
right.
names on there. I definitely forgot. That was on me. But yeah, they did help. That
We
was
getting
my
points
fault.
still, Mr. Boyd? We getting points still?
Well, your name not here, so how can you get points?
Ah, come on, Mr. Boyd.
I,
You heard the man.
I'll email you.
All right, so let's see what else we have here. PU colored leather, 150. So you bought $150 worth of leather. You bought some shoelace, that was $50. You bought some rubber, that was $80. You bought some fabric, 30, and you bought 250, 50. So your shoe boxes cost $250. Were they made out of gold? I'm just checking. You're muted now, and that's a good place to be.
I
Huh?
didn't.
What'd you say?
I didn't come up with the. This was all my group. I just they just gave me the numbers. I put them in. I don't really know shoes like that, so they did it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they
They
know
gave me the
shoes.
price. Yeah, they know shoes. It's some off whites. I guess it's a premium box. You know what I'm saying? It's off whites. Off whites go for about 1,000 something. So it.
All right. Now you know you're supposed to be making this item. So
Okay,
I don't have
I
a
can do that.
picture.
I didn't even know you wanted a picture. That's
Don't
that was
have
my fault.
anybody's name on it but yours.
I asked you, Dr. Boy, if I should put a picture. Actually, I asked you what was supposed to go in there whenever we was in our meeting the other day. You ain't tell me nothing about no
What
picture.
did I tell you to do? What did I tell you to do?
What you tell me to do? You said do that. You said make sure you got your SP multiple, your raw materials, and your direct labor.
Let me check with your partner in crime Bill. Sometimes y'all in crime too. Let me see. Trade Center. Oh, I guess this is Marshall for this group. So let me.
Yeah, Tatiana submitted for.
You all see this?
Yes.
Well, Kayvon, she has a little bit more than you.
Hey man. Hey, hey man.
Okay. So how much these shoes gonna cost? I mean, what? Let's see. I didn't let me download it. Let's see. Going with t-shirt. Okay. So how much these t-shirts gonna cost? Okay. Well, let's see where we are today. And as we move forward in the course, I was asking you all things. We've been after the fact, just looking at companies, manufacturing companies, what they did, and you were always told quantities, etc. Okay. So starting today, you have to calculate the quantities. So I won't be calculating quantities anymore. So we're moving to what's called variable costing as opposed to absorption costing. And you saw that in some of my requests. In absorption costing, we separate costs between the manufacturing and selling and administrative. Manufacturing costs, raw materials, labor, and overhead, and selling and administrative. When we move to variable costing, what will be become now are the variable costs and the fixed costs. And so now we're going to separate the costs between fixed and variable. And so when we look at financial statements in the future, instead of this traditional statement of sales, less cost of goods sold, gives you the gross profit, less variable, selling and fixed expenses to give you the net income, it won't be that way. Your income statement from now on will show sales, less variable product cost. And so that's what I asked you for today, selling price, less the product cost, which is the labor and overhead. Then we'll pick up later the variable selling administrative expenses for the contribution margin, a new term. Selling price minus variable expenses gives us the contribution margin. Then we'll have the fixed costs, uh, and we'll add those together to get the income. So the approach has changed to between fixed and variable. So just keep that in mind. Review this information. It's in the course content. Nothing major uh, in that regard. The thing is to alert you that our financial statements will change. We now move to cost volume profit relationships, cost volume profit relationships. And what we have is on one quantity, the dollars in sales and less expenses, and then on the bottom quantity, the units. And at a certain point, the sales that you will make will cause you to break even. That is, the revenues minus the expenses will equal zero. That's something you should know and know how to do. If you're in business, uh, whether you're running a company, whether you're making sales, whether you're loaning money to a company, whether you're investing in a company, you need to know on that company what's its break-even point and where is it operating at? Is it operating at a loss or is it operating at a profit? So this is a key chart that governs everything we're doing. So let's example, and I guess I'll make these t-shirts since I just heard about t-shirts. So suppose we're making t-shirts. They sell for $15. It costs us $5, and we sell $2,000. How much money have we made? The t-shirts sell for $15. They cost $5, and we sell $2,000. How much money have we made?
20,000.
I get 20,000, Benny.
10 times 2,000.
So, okay, so you're saying that let me make he just took the difference between selling price and cost. But we'll multiply it all out and we'll get there eventually. But if the selling price is 15, we got how much money?
30,000.
3,000. And if the cost was 5,000 for the 2,000, that's how much?
10,000.
10,000. So our contribution margin is 20,000, which is because selling price minus cost gives us this contribution margin that Benny picked up. So we can always multiply the contribution margin by the quantity sold and get the same thing. So Team 5 was selling these out of the trunks of their cars over by the mall. Okay. And it got hot. So they decided to go in the mall. And they rented them little kiosks. And the kiosk cost them $2,000. So how much money they're gonna make now in the mall if they sold the same number? So they sold 2,000.
18,000.
If they sold 2,000, but they had to pay that rent, what's gonna happen?
You subtract 2,000 from the 20,000.
Okay, so total sales is still 30,000. Cost is 10,000. So the CM, which is our contribution margin, uh, and that's equaling to, so that gives us 20,000. We got this rent we got to pay now, fixed all the time, 2,000. Notice the difference. The rent's gonna be 2,000 every month. First month we in the cars, no. Now we gotta pay 2,000 rent. And so what's our net income gonna be?
18,000.
Net income is 18,000. My first question then to my t-shirt sellers: how many you got to sell so you can get back your 20,000 in income? How many do you have to sell so that your income will be 20,000?
An additional 134 shirts. So 2,134 shirts.
So you say if we sold 2,134, how'd you get 2,134?
Oh, wait. I forgot about the difference. Well, I originally did, I divided 2,000.
Well, let's try the number first.
Wait,
So what's, if we just, I don't like to jump, but if we, so 30 times 2,134 is how much? Let's see.
What'd you say?
2,134 times 15 is how much?
I need to sell 200 more shirts. I need to sell
You change your,
2,000.
you
Yeah, I need to
change
sell
your number.
2,200 shirts.
All right, she says it's
2,200.
2,200 now.
Yes.
She's changed. So what's 2,200 times 15?
33,000.
So that's 33,000. And what's 5 times the wrong line? What's 5 times 2,200?
11,000.
And so our cost is what?
22,000. Or
Our
wait, no.
contribution margin is 22,000.
Okay.
And then we pay the rent. We back to where we needed to be. So we got to sell 2,200. We got to sell 2,200 now to get back to 20,000. Any question by anybody? Well, how many t-shirt prepares you got to make to break even? That is, how many you got to make, can you make, and this number is zero. Bottom line is zero. How many would that is that going to be? How many do you have to sell so that you can break even? So your net income will be zero.
Is that with us selling a certain amount? The same amount of
Now I'm saying if your selling price is 15, your cost is 5, and your rent, your fixed income is 2,000. How many do you have to sell so that you can just break even? That is, if you were looking at this company,
Oh, okay. 200.
how many did you say?
200.
200 times 15.
Is it 800? 800 t-shirts?
Say that again. You said sales.
I think,
So 200 times 15 is how much?
well, 200
Okay.
times 15 is 3,000, but I think it has to be 800 t-shirts.
Let's put the 200 in there first.
Okay.
So 3,000, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So the cost of 200 would be what? 5 times 200, what is 1,000?
Yeah, 1,000.
So the contribution margin would be what?
2,000.
Our fixed costs were what?
2,000.
So Ashley, what about that? In team 5, what? You said 800, but 200 appears to be doing the job.
Oh, I was still using the amount of 10,000 for $5. Okay, I didn't adjust my amount. I need to adjust it.
So can everybody do this now? Do a break even, not a catch break even. Kayvon, how did they calculate that? How do you calculate that 200?
Did the 200, did the 200 times 15, 200 times 5. Then you had 2,000. You had 2,000 left, or you have 2,000. Then you take the 2,000 from the other 2,000, and it broke even at zero.
My question was, how did you get those numbers? 200.
How you get the 200 and the 2,200?
How you get 200?
The 2,200 I think came from, yeah. Huh. I know the 200 came from the 2,200, but I don't know where the 2,200 came from. I'm not gonna lie.
I want to know how you got that. All of these business majors, I think some of them are seniors I hear. So I know they all know how to calculate a break even. Some of them are finance majors, MIS majors, management majors. They work in various places. I know they can calculate a break even. So I tell you what I want you all to do. It's kind of hard at times. But there are three equations I want y'all to memorize. I didn't say set them aside to look up. I said that there are three equations I want you all to memorize. The equation at 5, the equation at 6, and the equation at 7. You need to memorize those equations. So the first said break even quantity formula is fixed cost over unit contribution margin. Fixed cost over unit contribution margin. So what we're saying is that to get this number 200, the way we get this number 200, we take the fixed cost and we divide it by the CM, the unit CM. Okay? So that's what that equation says. The break-even quantity equals the fixed cost divided by the contribution margin. So what's the fixed cost in this problem? What is the fixed cost?
Wouldn't it be 10?
2,000?
2,000. And you in the mall, you got to pay 2,000 all the time. And what is our unit contribution margin? Benny, what's our unit contribution margin?
10?
20?
Okay,
20.
this should be 10. Maybe
10.
it should be 10, right?
Yeah, 10.
Yeah,
15,
you.
I think it's 10.
Oh, okay. I was confused. I was like, okay.
Is that why you confused? Okay, you told me that. Okay, never mind. So for the 10 here, now notice contribution margin is simply selling price minus the variable cost, not the fixed cost. So if we put a 10 here, what do we get?
200.
So
You
you
said
see the
2,000 by
easier
10.
way to calculate that if you know the formula. And once again, you need to memorize the formulas so that you can work with them automatically because everything you're doing from now on, you have to utilize one of those formulas to calculate your quantity. So that's all the way through the final exam. You'll be utilizing one of those formulas. So that's the break even. What about in this case where we wanted to keep our income at 20,000? We wanted to keep our income at 20,000. So what we're going to do here is say we got a target profit that we want. We have a target profit that we want. And that target profit is the 20,000. So whenever we're trying to get a target profit, we simply add the fixed cost, whatever that is, plus the target profit that we want. So we add the fixed cost plus, let me make these count. When we add those two numbers together, we divide them by the CM again. So whenever we want to calculate the number that we got to sell, the quantity that we have to sell, we add the fixed cost and the target profit and divide it by the contribution margin. Does that work? Does that get us to 2,200?
I only got one question. So
What's
you're
your question?
saying you use 22,000, it equals 22,000, but you use 22,000 in the problem?
We wanted the profit to be at 20,000. Okay. Remember that was the request. Let's have a profit of 20,000. Anytime you want a profit of a certain amount, you use the equation target profit equals fixed cost plus that target profit divided by the margin. So if we work in this problem, the fixed cost is what? 2,000. And the target
2,000.
profit that we wanted was what?
20,000.
20,000.
And we said we divide that by what? The CM with
10.
this 10.
10.
What answer did you get?
2,200.
Okay.
Oh, so those two different things. So that so you got TP equals the FC plus TP. So
Yeah.
the two TP is two
Target
different
profit
things.
quantity that you want equals the fixed cost plus that same target profit. Yeah. Because we're talking about the target profit quantity. So maybe I'm put a Q in here. So the target profit quantity that we're trying equals the fixed cost plus that dollar profit. So it equals the fixed cost plus that dollar profit divided by the contribution margin. So once again, you've got to learn these formulas. If you're trying to get the target loss, you would subtract it. I won't worry about that right now. But if you add the profit, then you subtract the loss. So with these, with these problems, as we work through them through them from now. And with your project, see, if we think about your project with those t-shirts, how many t-shirts you got to make break even? That's the question you're gonna have to answer. How many t-shirts you got to make $1 million? How many t-shirts you got to be at a certain loss level? That's what you're gonna have to be able to do. That being the case, you need to memorize the formulas at 5, 6, and 7. So I hadn't asked you to memorize anything else this course, pretty much. But you just need to memorize these so you can work in a hurry and it did not even be a thought. Okay, so it's time for you all to work a problem on your own. Assume we're selling computers. The unit selling price of the computer is $2,500. The variable cost of the computer is $1,500, and the total fixed cost is $150,000. So you see, we have a selling price of $2,500, a variable cost of $1,500, and our fixed cost of $150,000. You calculate for me four or five things. First of all, if you owe one computer, what would your net income look like? Then, if you had a target loss of 100,000, you can skip that. Let's go to break even. So let's just do these first two. What's the quantity to break even? So work that out and prove it so that when you put everything in, it's zero. So does everyone see what I want you to do? I want you to do sale of one unit. Well, things look like if you just sold one unit. Then I want you to give me the quantity necessary to break even. And then calculate to make sure that works. So all of your new instruction and new knowledge today, show me the sale of one item and show me the break even. Once again, the selling price $2,500, variable cost $1,500, fixed cost $150,000. Are there any questions? So you all have the information. You should have this in Blackboard and a handout, but you should have this information. So I want you to calculate two things once again. Show what it look like if you sold just one item, then calculate the quantity to break even, and then put the information in on the computers to make sure you get this. Are there any questions on what I want? So I'm going to give you I guess 15 minutes to work this out. How you going to start though? Tell me what you're going to do to start the problem. What are you going to do to start the problem? The way I have the problem be, I calculate the contribution margin. I would calculate the contribution margin. I would do that first. And then with that information, I would bring it down and show what would happen if I sold one. Then I calculate that break-even quantity. So I've given you a starting point. This is individual work now. You put on this individually a week from the day. And so you learn those formulas and be able to work a problem like this a week from the day on your own. So I'm going to give you about 10 or 15 minutes to work this.
This conference will now be recorded.
Well, yeah, 150. Cause we on option one, right?
We're on option one.
Yeah,
Anybody
150.
else got 150? So Benny, you got that by yourself? Nobody else got 150? Well, let's see how it works then. What was our selling price?
Two 2,500.
Okay, so 2,500 was the selling price. Let me put that over here. Wait a minute, 2,000. So if we sold 150, 2,500, how much money would that be? $150 times 2,500.
I'm about to do it.
375,000.
Okay, that sounds like a good number. 375. What's our variable cost? That would be, we'll sell them in what? They cost us what? 1,500.
Yeah, 1,500.
Yes.
So what would be the cost then?
225,000.
225,000.
So our contribution margin would be what? In dollars.
$150,000.
I'll take your word for it. How much were our fixed costs in this case?
150,000.
So if we sold 150 units, our total sales would be 375. Our total cost would be 225. And so the contribution margin would be 150. Fixed costs are 150, so we exactly break even. If you were to go to a bank and you know, in any kind of situation, whether you're making something or not, if you wanted to uh, borrow some money, first thing the bank's going to ask you is what's your break even? First thing the bank's going to ask you. Then they get into target profit quantity. But if you go to the bank and you say, well, I don't know what break even is, so the banker has to know that, and you need to know that. What if we sold just one? If we sold just one, what would be our situation?
Yeah, negative.
Our contribution margin would be 1,000, but we would still have what? 150,000. And so we would have a loss of 149,000. So we always sort of want to put this in to let you see, you know, what's happening. We had 150,000 in fixed costs. We sold one item, we got 1,000 at cost. We got to make another 149 sales to get all of the fixed costs covered. Okay. We clear on that? Any questions? Well, since everybody here wants to be a millionaire, tell me how many you got to sell to make $1 million. So take about 5 minutes and tell me how many you got to sell to make $1 million. I'm assuming most people here want to be a millionaire.
don't really give you an answer.
You got it.
1,150.
1,150 is what Benny says it would take to make a million. How'd you get that 1,150?
I got it's called the margin. Well, I just did the 2,500 minus the 1,500. It gave me 1,000. So I know how much I need to divide the
You
expected
always,
cost.
that's why I got read, you always divide by this unit contribution margin. That's why I got it in red. That's a key number, contribution margin. And what did you divide that into?
I did 150,000 plus a million.
Plus the million. So we
And
want to make a million, so we have to add the fixed cost, 150,000. We have to add it to that. If we multiply this out, 1,150 times 2,500 is how much?
2,875,000.
2,000,000. So we end up with a million, what, 150,000?
Yeah. And then you take the 1,150,000 and subtract about 150,000. Then you get a
Gives us.
million.
Any questions? Suppose our target loss was 100,000. We do one more. Suppose our target loss was 100,000.
Professor Boyd, I have a question. How did you get the
Yes.
1,150?
Okay, we have a formula for target profit. See, we had a target profit of $1 million. The formula says, in terms of this target profit, if that's what we're trying to do, we're going to add 1 million plus the 100 plus the $150,000 loss. We're going to add those two numbers together, the million and the 150. The fixed cost we got to cover, and the million sort of becomes like another fixed cost. And we divide it by the contribution margin. So this number here is always what we're sort of working with in those equations. Whatever this contribution margin, that's what we're dividing by. So you see that now? And that's
Yes.
based on, that's why you got to memorize these three equations. There's a break-even equation, a target profit equation, and a target loss equation. So it's important that you can go to those quickly and easily. So if our target loss is 100,000, so we want this number to be 100,000. How many do we have to sell so that the target loss will be 100,000?
$50.
Okay, so how'd you get 50?
I did the 150,000 minus the 100,000. Then I divided it by the contribution margin, which was 1,000.
So that's correct. We take the fixed cost and we subtract out the target loss. So if it's a profit, we add it. If it's a loss, you subtract it. So 150,000 minus 100 is 50,000. And then we just divide 50,000 by 1,000, we get the quantity to be 50. Does everyone see that? We wanted the loss to be 100,000. Our fixed cost was 150. So we simply subtracted 150,000 minus the 100 loss we wanted. That gave us 50,000. Okay, let me put the 50 up here. Then if we run that 50 through, it should give us a loss of 100,000. 50 times 2,500 is what? That
125,000.
Okay. And what's the cost of 50 computers?
It's 75,000.
So 75 minus 155 gives us a
50,000.
$50,000 contribution margin that we made. The fixed costs were 100,000. And that gives us our target loss, right? This is 150. So this gives us our target loss. So those are the three things you got to, well, it's four things. You need to know, okay, if you sold just one, what does it look like? Then if your target loss is 100,000, what's that going to look like? Break and top of $1 million. So those are the ones we're going to work with. So on your examination on next Tuesday, you already know. Sale of one, target loss of 100,000, break even, target profit of $1 million. You'll be given your facts and then you have to work on it. Okay. So you got option two. If you're having issues and problems, then work on option two. Well, everybody just go and work on option two and do the same. So work on option two and put that in and make sure you got this down pat. So this is in-class problem 2. This should be in course content. So it's not always, yeah. And in that case, we weren't making something. So we started off with something already made. But as you know, we're making something. So this is in-class problem 2. So we'll be working on in class 1, that second example, and then in class 2. And you all can send this to me as a team assignment. So in class 2. In class 1, you got to work that on your own. So I'm not going to take it up. That's where we worked on it. That's for you to work on your own. Then as we convert to making something as opposed to buying. So we bought a computer and sold it. As you know, we're making things in this course. So we'll work on this problem next. You should send this problem in as a team for design. Any questions? Any comments? Okay, so
Please
let
upload
me
both videos.
say that again.
Please upload both videos.